Hello. So if you look at this chart right here, we're doing input-output tables. That's what we are working on today. They'll be easy at first and get a little bit harder, but I think you guys should be okay. The very first thing we are looking at is the rule. So in this one, it tells us our rule is to add 4. So if I take 3 plus 4, I get 7, right? I take 5, I plus 4, I get 9. 7 plus 4, I get 11. So what if I do 11 plus 4, what does that give me? 15. What if I do 15 plus 4, what does that give me? 19. These are not very hard, are they? Okay, so for the second one, I take 55. If I divide that by 5, that's my rule, right? My rule is divide by 5. 55 divided by 5 is 11. 50 divided by 5 is 10. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Good. For the next ones, they want us to tell them what the rule is. We're going to actually have to figure it out. So it says that I start with 2 and I end at 6. Okay? So what are our options? If I start at 2 and I end at 6, what could happen? There's only 2 options. We could add 4, right? 2 plus 4 is 6. Or I could times by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So let's see which of these rules work for the next one. If I start at 4 and I add 4, do I get 12? No, I don't. If I start at 4 and times by 3, do I get 12? Yes. Okay. So times 3 worked here. Times 3 worked here. What about here? If I do 7 times 3, do I get 21? Yes, I do. Okay, perfect. So what about 9 times 3? What's that give me? 27. What about 10 times 3? What's that give me? 30. So then when they look up here and it says, what is the rule for the table, right? 10 times 3. So our rule, what we did every single time was times 3, okay? This just means times 3. And if you wanted to write it out, right, you could say times 3, okay? So if we look at the next one, we're going to do the same thing. My input is 80, and I end up at 8. Well, I start at 80, and I somehow do something to end up at 8. Start at 80, end at 8. How are some of the ways I can get there? What are some ways I could get there? Well, I could do 80 minus 72 and get to 8. What's another way? I can't add anything. I can't multiply anything. So what about dividing by 10? That could also get me there. So let's look at the next one, see which one works. If I take 50 and subtract 72, do I get 5? No. If I take 50 and divide by 10, does that get me to 5? Yes. What about this one? If I take 70 and divide by 10, do I get 7? I do, in fact. So this rule is going to be divide by 10 on every single one. So if we follow that, what is 40 divided by 10? 4. What about 60 divided by 10? 6. So that